is a peaceful march. We are unarmed and not disturbed. Let's go!
ARP is a darling. It has been a darling.
We will turn Alexandra to be ungovernable.
We will continue to fight until our people live in better.
Now, housing is one of the most burning issues here in Alexandra Township. A lot of people are saying the housing allocation is not fair. People want to know who really has a right to get a house. And a lot are saying these houses have been given to people that are not from Alexandra. And a lot of people from Alexandra who have registered houses years ago, still today, they don't have houses. Let us go into the community and find out what is really happening with this housing problem.
The housing issue in Alexandra is getting intensifying day by day, because people now actually have been waiting for houses for a long period of time, and it's starting to actually come to its boiling point.
Imbizo laka ke refile Damo 6 number 66 ke registerile ntlo ya ka ka 1999, and then ke ne ke ntse ke ya ko di office ko 80 kilo checka because ban one pile C form a blue hantse ke checka ne ntse ke bolella gore ke tleneng ntse ke ya ka di date se ban pile tsona until ka 2008 ga ke ya ban plela gore ntlo ya ka itswile. And then I was given the papers tse di showang gore ke na le ntlo e o le stand number and everything. Ban plela gore ke ka tsona ko love day. Ha ke fitla ko love day, I was given a stepezana bas attach mo di form tso gore ke ko sawa ka ya ko sawa ko Department of Housing. Ha ke fitla ko Department of Housing pamplela gore ntlo ya ka itswile eng, but mo system ya bona go bontsha gore nna ke dumetse gore ntlo ya ka e dule someone else. Ka ba bolela gore ke dumela yang gore ko ntlo ya ka o dule someone else ke sena ntlo ke nna mo mkhukhu. And then ba re mo system ya bona go yalo ka ba utso re ntlo e kae because mo di pampiri e re ko Gauteng and then le di number fela, but it doesn't tell gore Gauteng ko kae. So ka ba butsisa gore ko Gauteng ko kae, they refuse to tell me. And then ka ba butsisa gore go dula mang ke mo system ya bona go dula mang ko ntlong eo, ba gana go mplela still ba mpha form e nngwe ba re gore problem e solviwe. Nna ke tshwanetse ke tlatse form eo, ke dumela gore ntlo eo ke dumetse gore motho a dule mo teng ke fane ka subsidy ya ka ya ntlo, of which is not true. A ka dumela go fana ka subsidy ya ka ntlo because I need ntlo desperately. So ke gana go tlatsa dipampiri tse ko sawa ka tla mo Alexandra ka bolela CDW ya ward ya ka anka dipampiri tsela a ya ka tsona ko pele ba mplela gore ke tla kry reply before October 2008. Until today so ka ke kry reply. My CDW lena ga itse gore what's happening Thabo Mosotho go etsagala eng.
If 2001-2 property owners of Alexandra were given space in that ARP structure, not for any leadership position, but to do a basic thing like relocation, we wouldn't be faced by this problem that we are faced with today. Because if property owners had that power, well knowing that the number of tenants in their yards are this number and that number, obviously allocation could have been driven with the corruption, with a non-corruption approach, because the aim was to de-densify Alexandra by getting rid of those tenants and actually promoting those tenants to get houses which are the RDP houses which belong to them.
Okay guys, we are now at the ARP head offices. We're going to speak to Mr. Job Sithole. So come and follow me. Let us hear what he has to say.
Job Sithole, Dumisani Job Sithole. I started the ARP 2009. But ARP was started in 2001. The biggest challenge that faces the ARP and government in general is the ability to build enough houses in a particular year to be able to make a decisive dent on the housing demand. It's not only a problem for Alex, it's a national problem. Now, the amount of houses that we are capable of building in relation to the resources that we have, of course, sitting there, you may think that it's not enough. I may accept that, but you may say it's not enough purely because you're not looking at what amount do we have, what are we capable of doing with that particular amount. We continue to do not only housing, but to do other infrastructural issues. So it's not only a housing. But of course, people look at us and judge us purely on the number of houses that we've built. These other issues to them are secondary.
The current housing allocation is not transparent because of they do not make available for public consumption the housing allocation list when they allocate the people. And Alpoa and Apo is not part of the panel or the task team that has been formulated by the ARP to sit for the housing allocation. So how can you allocate houses while you don't include the property owners?
We have what we call the Greater Alexandra Development Forum. Our understanding is that all organizations in the township sit in that forum. And our understanding is that we need to give them information, and we do that on a monthly basis or as and when they request it. We have what we called allocation task team, which is mainly councillors, ward councillors and PR councillors. They are informed of what we are doing. And those people are key people that they need to be giving that information to the constituencies. What I've started doing now, realizing the very same gap that you are raising, we will see that in the last few months we circulated through Alex Pioneers a one page that explained what we did in the last financial year and what we are going in the next what we are going to do in the next financial year, and what we are now doing, preparing. I want to give another full page that gives an explanation of the amount we spent in the last financial year, rent by rent, to say that we're given so much, this is how much we spent. Having given the list before of projects, then people can relate the amounts to those projects. But this is what we are trying to do. I do not have an illusion that we will ever be able to touch everybody. But this is what we are trying to do, to spread the communication. We have agreed with Alex FM, and they are working on the details for us, that we want to have a weekly slot just to come and explain things to people. The last article we ran with Alex Pioneer was to explain the allocation process. We did a huge article that explained the allocation process. How do we allocate? How do people qualify? How do, all those processes, how they unfold.
Allocation is a and how come to adula kontunyaka naksatsepi, and then bamu file joan kluyaka kama bizo aka resa share the ID and without my consent.
It's not possible. Let me start by saying that's not possible. I've heard that allegation many times, and I'll make this offer even to you now. Show me that house, I will assist you with everything in my ability to evict that person. Because that's not factual. What happens is that when you go to demand database, they say to you, yes, you are registered. Here's your number of your registration. People then take that number and say, stand number. Now, if you come with a stand number, call Namo Alex, when I don't have stands, then you must explain to me. We don't have stands. We don't build standalone houses. So when we look at the stand number, it can't be a stand number. Then it says, no, okay, house number. I said, okay, let's go and look for this house. Because you've got your number, let's go and look for this house. because we don't have that numbering in the projects we are doing. So what is this number? The number is an application number. Now I'm going to explain why I'm saying it's not possible. The only time that you can say to me, this is my house, it's when we put you in that house. On that day, where we come and say, now we are house number 13. And you sign papers for house number 13. And then you come to me next day and say, that's the only time that you say to me, my house is number 13. And we'll go to records and prove that yes, your house is number 13. Before then, you can't have a house number. You can't have a house number. We inspect those houses. We then accept those houses and say, we are satisfied these houses are correct. We come back. That's when that we now match you with the house number. That's the day that we match you with the house number. It's us here in this office that sits with the list that comes from the province of approved subsidies and attach you to a house. The province can't do it.
I'm feeling cheated as a community member, and I'm feeling disrespected. Without consulting with me, I felt the other person, and for nice disrespect.
It's not for me to come and deny you a house. Why should I do that? I have no business to deny you a house. I have a business to house you. That's my business. I must house you.
In area door to door, most welcome. There is nobody from government who island Atlamo alitelate, and we committed to bring government people here. As one area yellow problem, but it doesn't mean Alexandra as a whole are no problem. So Alexandra is one of the areas Jelumur ANC must give a priority. The reason we are still in a struggle and the reason we are fighting and not apologizing about our fight for emancipation, it is because of these conditions you live in. For as long as there's still Alexandra, we will continue to fight until our people live in better. And we don't require a permission of anybody. We don't want to be a generation of failures. We are not in the pockets of anybody. Where there is a problem, we'll raise a problem, and that problem must be resolved.
Sizosebenza nzima ukuthi singanizwisi ubuhlungu amathemba endiwabeka kuthi sizowasebenzela ziyeza izindlu zenu ziyeza.
Nasungula kutshama eAlexandra 99 nisungula kutsarisa ndhawu loko va ku ndhawu leyi tshamaka yona fanele ku rhurha vanhu va la ku endla swin'wana ehenhleni ka yona kambe ti ta rhurha hi 2011 hi ti 87 April va hi rhurhisela extension 10 so mara loko hi fika lan'wana a ku nga ri hava gezi a va ri busy rona mata ma ri kona lexi ni nga xi vona loko va na problem va hatla va yi fixa ya report office va hatla va yi fixa so tala a hi nga complain swona a swi sa ku ri government na yona yi langutana na swo tala vanhu va tele na hina sweswiwani ne sweswi nga swi kuma u fanele swi accept.
babeka abantu bangaphandle phambili bashiya abantu base-Alexandra ngaphandle.
I-youth yase-Alexandra ayinazindlu, balala nabazali babo ngaphansi kwamatafula. They don't have a place to stay. But hence the land that was supposed to be their land is been given to people outside coming from Alexandra. So we are saying that our visit here, it will be mobilized. Even after the elections, we will turn Alexandra to be ungovernable. That's what we are saying.
Yes.
And if the ARP is not being removed, we will ensure that we become militant and destroy the structures in Alexandra.
ARP is not for the people. ARP is for certain individual. They want to actually use development for PPE. It's a PE thing, that thing. It's not a development thing.
So sicela ukuthi kube ne structure esisha esokuthi sokhuluma esokuthi sizo consult ne community and kube ukuthi structure ukuthi abantu base Alexandra baba lapha kungabi ukuthi no abantu niletha abantu from ni deploy abantu from Eastern Cape from to Alexandra. Lo muntu lo sekumele aqale phansi akayazi Alexandra. I project ekumele ayenze 2 years same thatha 10 years ngoba manje akazi ne structure akazi nokuthi aye kupha kuphi. Manje sifuna ukuthi structure esongene si employ i-youth yase Alexandra nabantu ukuthi base Alexandra abakwaziyo nge Alexandra.
ARP is a darling. It has been a darling. Now, because certain things are not as what people are used to be, and then everybody says, shut the ARP. Now, I'm saying, is that call a genuine call? Or is the call that says, we are no more net beneficiaries of the ARP, and therefore this organization is not of any value anymore? And I'm saying to Alex people, look at people very carefully when they come to you and say this is that and this is that. Ask a question: what has been your historic benefit from the ARP and what has changed? What is it that has changed? Why yesterday ARP was a darling, you will defend it with your life? Why today you hate it with passion? Because once you ask those questions, you will then realize, and it's a criticism that I'm willing to accept. I'm a director of the ARP. I'm willing to accept that criticism. I think ARP could have done more. It could have done more. And I'm saying, yes, we could have done more. But where we were, the beneficiaries, why did we allow the ARP not to do more? Should we continue that route? And I'm saying, no, things must change, and things must change. And I'm prepared to accept the fact that I will have offended a number of people. I accept that. But I'm saying that I know that those who are offended are not the ordinary person who benefits. It's not the ordinary person who's waiting for a house that now he has a prospect of getting a house. It's not that person. It's a person who knows that the reason why he hates the guts of this leadership now is because he's not my net beneficiary. He's not my net beneficiary. So I'm saying to Alex people, it's time for them to stand up against the current leadership. If we are doing things wrong, they must stand up and say no. But I'm saying in that, they must be wary. They must be wary of those that comes. They must be wary of the wolves that comes with the sheepskin and exploit their genuine problems to advance their interest.
Now, I've been in the offices of ARP. I've spoken to Mr. Job Sithole, and he has actually said a mouthful. He has tried to answer a lot of questions that people of Alexandra have been asking. And now clearly we could tell that the problem in Alexandra is communication. The information is not clear, and a lot of people need to be workshopped and to be informed. Now, I would also ask if our JDF, our councillors, could find a strategy in spreading the information to the residents of Alexandra. A lot of people need to know, and some of them are aware of the development that is happening, and some don't really know. We should admit in Alexandra that there is houses that have been built, but we don't understand how they give these houses to the people. There's been a lot of development and a lot of changes and challenges faced by the ARP, but we still need to hear from the people. Are they happy with what the ARP is saying?